I want you to picture the most powerful moment of your adult life. The moment everything you built finally meant something. For most people, that moment happens quietly: a promotion, a contract signed, a milestone reached alone. Mine happened on a Tuesday afternoon in my own boardroom, when a man I hadn't seen in 10 years sat down across from me, sweating through his shirt, and asked me for a job. His name was Daniel Hargrove. And by the time he walked into my office, I already owned him. It started on a Thursday night, the kind where you're still in the office at 9 because the firm doesn't sleep and neither do you. We were hiring for 2 senior analyst positions, competitive roles, strong salary, the kind of opportunity that attracts serious candidates. I was reviewing the final shortlist myself. I always do. Details matter when you're building something that's supposed to last. I was on the 4th folder when I saw it. Daniel Hargrove. I didn't react. Not immediately. I just sat there, very still, staring at the name on the tab like my brain needed an extra second to process what my eyes were reading. Daniel Hargrove. Same guy. Had to be. The age lined up. The hometown listed on the resume, Westbrook. That was our town. That was our school. I opened the folder slowly. There was a professional headshot clipped to the top corner. Older. Heavier. The cocky jaw was still there, but the eyes were different. Tired. The kind of tired that isn't about sleep. I closed the folder. Set it aside. Called my assistant and told her to move his interview to the following week. Something had just come to mind that I needed to take care of first. Because here's the thing about building a firm from scratch: you get very good at reading people. And what I saw in that headshot wasn't a reformed man coming in with humility and talent. I saw someone who needed this job. And that changes everything. I'm going to be transparent with you here because the next part matters legally and ethically, and I want you to understand every step. I had my firm's due diligence team run a standard background and financial check. We do this for every senior hire. It's disclosed in the application process. There is nothing unusual about it. What came back was not what I expected. Daniel Hargrove, as of that Thursday night, was carrying close to $400,000 in outstanding debt across multiple creditors. Private student loans from a graduate program he apparently didn't finish. 2 business ventures that collapsed. A car note. Several high-interest credit lines. And one particularly notable block of debt, roughly $220,000, held by a smaller private lending group that specialized in distressed accounts. His credit was fractured. His professional history was a series of short tenures and gaps. Whatever peak he thought he'd reached, it had already passed. I sat with that information for a long time. Then I made a phone call. Not to Daniel. To my personal financial attorney. I asked one question. Is the debt held by Meridian Credit Group transferable through a third-party acquisition? The answer after some research was yes. So I bought it. Through my holding company, arm's length, completely legal, fully disclosed to the relevant parties as required, I acquired the rights to his outstanding balance with Meridian. $220,000. His largest single liability. The one attached to collateral that included his vehicle and 2 remaining personal guarantees. I want to be clear. I didn't do this to destroy him. I did this because, for the first time in my adult life, I had the ability to make sure that whatever happened in that boardroom, I was the one holding every card. He made me feel powerless for 3 years. I was done feeling powerless. The week between the acquisition and the interview was strange. I went about my normal routine. Meetings, calls, quarterly reviews, but there was this low hum underneath everything. This awareness. Like knowing the storm is coming but the sky is still blue. I thought about high school more than I had in years. I thought about the hallway outside the gymnasium where he and his friends would position themselves like there was a checkpoint. The way he learned exactly which ones would begin the hardest. The day he humiliated me in front of the girl I liked and said it. The guidance counselor who told me to try not to engage. My parents worked double shifts. I didn't have the luxury of acting out or breaking down. I just had to survive it and keep moving. And I did. I moved to the city. I worked. I built. I failed twice and built again. I put together a team of people I respected, borrowed against everything I had, and created something real. Daniel Hargrove, in that same decade, had apparently peaked somewhere around year 2 and spent the rest of the time borrowing against a future that never arrived. I'm not telling you this to gloat. I'm telling you this so you understand. This was never about revenge for its own sake. It was about resolution. About closing a chapter properly. And the chapter was about to close. He arrived 7 minutes early, which told me he was nervous. My assistant brought him water, we do that for everyone, and let him sit in the reception area for exactly as long as the standard wait. No theatrics. No power plays with time. I didn't need them. When he walked into the boardroom, I was already seated. 2 members of my legal team were present, positioned off to the side, professional and quiet. He assumed they were part of the interview panel. He would understand their presence shortly. He came through the door already mid-smile, the kind of smile people wear when they're performing confidence, and then he saw my face. He stopped. Not dramatically. Just a half-second pause. A glitch. I watched him recalibrate in real time. Watched him search my expression for a clue about what register to use. Old friend? Former acquaintance? Did I remember him? Did I remember him badly? I let the silence sit for a moment. Then I said, "Daniel, please sit down." He sat. He straightened his jacket. He looked at the legal team again and then back at me. "I have to say," he started, I didn't realize, obviously I knew the founder's name but I didn't connect." "It's fine," I said. "We're here to talk about your application." He nodded. Relieved almost. He started to launch into his prepared pitch. His experience, his goals, his value proposition. I let him go for about 90 seconds. Then I opened the folder in front of me. Not his resume. A different set of documents. I slid the first page across the table. He looked down at it. Frowned. "Read the header. Notice of debt transfer, Meridian Credit Group, account holder, Daniel R. Hargrove." He looked up at me. "What is this?" "That," I said, "is a record of a financial transaction that completed last week. My holding company acquired your outstanding balance with Meridian. I am now, as of 8 days ago, your primary creditor on that account." The color left his face the way water drains from a tub, steadily, completely, until there's nothing left. He looked at the legal team. Back at me. "Why would you?" "Your application," I said, "has been reviewed thoroughly. After careful consideration, we've determined that your experience and professional profile are not the right fit for the senior analyst positions we have available." He blinked. "You're rejecting me. We're not moving forward with your candidacy, yes." He sat back. And then something shifted in his face, a flash of the old Daniel. The one who'd learned that aggression worked. "You did all of this, you bought my debt just to do this? This is a game to you?" I looked at him calmly. "Daniel, you've been playing a game your entire life. You just assumed you'd always be the one setting the rules." He tried a few more angles. An apology, the kind that's really an argument dressed in sorry language. An accusation that I was acting illegally, which my attorney addressed quietly and efficiently in about 40 seconds. And then, finally, he went quiet. Real quiet. The kind of quiet that means someone has run out of moves and they know it. I moved only slightly. "I want to say something to you, and I'd like you to actually hear it." He looked at me. "What you did to me didn't ruin my life. I want to be honest about that. I went home most nights during those years and I made a decision, over and over again, that I was going to build something. Not to get back at it, just because it was the only thing I could control. But I also want to be honest about this. It left a mark. For a long time, I didn't know what to do with that mark. Today I figured it out. I slid the final document across the table. The first restructured payment on your account is due on the 1st of next month. The schedule and terms are on page 3. My firm's financial services team will be your point of contact going forward. They're professional and they'll treat you fairly." "That's it," he said. "That's it," I said. "You can go." He stood up. Straightened his jacket again. The same gesture as when he'd walked in, but it meant something completely different now. He picked up the documents because he didn't know what else to do with his hands. He walked out. I sat in the boardroom for a while after that. The legal team packed up and left. My assistant brought coffee and didn't ask questions because she's exceptional. I just sat there looking at the city through the glass wall. It didn't feel the way I thought it would. It wasn't euphoric. It wasn't hollow either. It felt like setting something down that I'd been carrying for a very long time. Like my arms could finally just rest. Here's what I want to leave you with, and I mean this genuinely. The debt acquisition? The legal leverage? That was the dramatic part. That's the part that makes for a story. But the real revenge, the one that actually mattered, happened years ago in an apartment with bad heating and a folding table I used as a desk, when I decided that no one who had ever made me feel small was going to be the reason I stayed small. Success is the only revenge that compounds. Everything else is just a single moment. A boardroom. A piece of paper. A man walking out of a building. But what you build, that stays. That grows. That becomes something no one can walk in and take from you. So if you are in the hallway right now, If you are in the version of life where someone else holds the power and you can't see a way forward, I need you to hear this. Build. Quietly. Relentlessly. Without explaining yourself to people who don't deserve the preview. Because one day you won't need to chase anyone down. They'll walk right through your front door. And you'll already be ready. If this story hit differently, you know what to do. Share it with someone who needs to hear it.